Okay, so we are going to go over the Oregon state tax filing. You'll need to go online and look up oregon.gov and find the 2024 form OR-40. There are a lot, when you go to Google, at least for me, there's a lot of titles that direct you to the wrong form or an outdated form, so make sure you're grabbing the correct one. It's best just to go to oregon.gov and find the form on their webpage. And then you'll also need to grab the instruction manual. So it's going to be the Oregon OR-40 instructions, and it should look like this. Form OR-40 instructions for a full year resident. If you were a part-time or non-resident, it should say Form OR-40 N or P instructions, which are going to be different than what we're going over right now. So make sure you're grabbing the right title here, the right header for those instructions online. Okay, so let's get started with filling out the form. This is going to be similar to the federal and the California form. You're going to put the fiscal year at the top. In this case, it's going to be always 12/31, and then we're filing for the year of 2024, so it's going to be end year 2024. And then you're doing a Oregon Form 40, so we don't need to select any of these. If this applies to you, this video is not going to help you. So I would refer to a tax accountant or doing one of those third-party online tax assistance platforms. All right, so now you're just going to do easy, first name, your middle initial, date of birth, your last name, social security number. And then if you have a spouse, put their information there, your current mailing address, city, state, zip code, your country, and your phone number. We're filing a single on this video. If you're married, head of household, you would select the appropriate one. All right, and then this is similar to California, where they want on each page to put your last name and your social security number. And that's just to make sure that they keep track of their paperwork when they receive it in their office. All right, exemptions, credit for yourself. So I'm going to put one credit for myself because I just claimed myself. And then your spouse, you can select a credit for your spouse as well. This is going to give you, similar to California, where Oregon gives you an exemption credit amount. And then your dependents. So if you've got children, this also only allows you up to 3. I would look at the instructions and go to line or right before line 6, it looks like 6B to 6C. You'd want to find that line number in your instruction manual. And we can go, I'll show you here. So 6A and 6B, this is where we're claiming ourselves, and then 6C is your dependents. And then it will explain how to fill out that section. All right, so total number of dependents. I don't have any number of dependents, so I'm going to leave that blank. And this blank as well doesn't apply to me. Total exemptions, we're going from 6A all the way to 6D. And for me, that's just one, just myself. Again, last name, social security number. And then we're going to grab our adjusted gross income from our federal 1040 form, line 11. And I also have my piece of scratch paper, and I know that my total income from last year was $40,848.91. And then they have their own deduction credit schedule list that you can go through, and you can look up line 8 on those instructions here and then find what you need to do. And you probably have to go back to the oregon.gov site and look up for those schedules to complete. This doesn't apply to me, so nothing is going to be added. I don't have additional income. $40,848.91 is going to be my total amount. My federal tax liability. So something nice for Oregon is that they remove your federal tax liability from your 1140 form from your gross income. So we're going to put that here, and we have our saved 1040 draft from the prior video. And I know that my tax liability was 0 because I had a refund. So if you had a tax liability due, you would put that there, and they'll reduce your income by that to determine what your Oregon state tax is going to be. But for me, I have a refund, so I don't need to put that there. We can also go to the instructions and see, and look at the explanation here, and it can walk you through how to do that. You're going to have to fill out a worksheet to do that and figure that out. And then this is going to go over other subtractions from your income if need be, if that applies. So ignore what I said about this is a nice thing compared to California, your federal tax liability. I think it is actually different from California. So if you did owe tax to the IRS, then you could put that amount here and then we'll reduce your tax. I don't think they'd allow that for California, but I didn't go through that schedule to determine if that was an option or not. So total income from after subtractions, can't speak, is $40,848.91. All right. And then your itemized deductions, they're giving you an option to do itemized or standard. And in my case, we're doing standard, very consistent from the federal, California, and Oregon. I'm taking the standard deduction. I'm not going to itemize them. So for standard deduction, if single, they're allowing $2,745. So I'm going to put that here in this box, $2,745. If you're married, filing, it's just going to be double that amount, and it'll be this amount here. Head of household is right here. All right, enter the larger of line 16 or 17. So they're giving you an option to compare your itemized to the standard. So if you can itemize your deduction and it's going to be more than the standard that they're offering you, you can go ahead and do that. This is separate than doing your federal itemized or standard deduction. This is only for Oregon. So you'd have to fill out the Oregon schedule, which is ORA, and then you would have to go through and figure out what your itemized allowable deductions in the state of Oregon is going to be. And if it is more than the standard, then you're going to use the larger amount. So in my case, I'm not itemizing my deductions. I also know that I wouldn't qualify for those itemized deductions in the state of Oregon, so I'm going to use $2,745 as my standard. All right, and then it's asking line 15 minus line 18. So we're taking $40,848 and we're going to subtract the standard that they're allowing me to use in the state of Oregon. So let me get my calculator. We got 40,848.91 minus 2,745, which gives me 38,103.91. 38,103.91, and that is my taxable income. I'm going to round up in this situation because I don't want them to think that I have a taxable income of $3 million, because that's not true. All right, and then we've got Oregon tax. So this is where we're going to see, anytime you see just the word tax and not tax liability or a tax you may be owed, and it just says tax, you're going to look at a table. So we're going to go through our instructions. Line 20, it says, and I think it might be at the end, which it is. So let's go to the end of these instructions. Here's our tax table. And they have it separated. If you're single, it's going to be a giant S, or married filing separately. If joint and married filing jointly, it's going to be J. So it's going to be under the column J, or S if you're single, and it works similarly. So at least, if your taxable income is at least, but less than, and we're going to find ours. So my income, Oregon taxable income, is $38,104. So let me go see where that lands here on the tax table. $38,104. Here's $38,100, but less than $38,200. So here's my tax liability of $3,037. So we're going to put that there. $3,037. I think I said, right? Yep. $3,037. $3,037. And after doing the California taxes, this is more than 3 times that Oregon requests as their income tax versus California, what they require. So I don't know what people are talking about. It's cheaper to live in Oregon, because it's not. All right. Interest on certain installment sales, tax additions to tax, none of that's going to apply to me. Total tax before credits, still $3,037. All right, and then this is exemption credits. So if any of this applies to you, you're going to want to go through the instructions and look at that and see if any of that applies to you. None of that is going to apply to me. I don't have any credits, so $3,037 is still the tax amount that I owe to the state of Oregon. All right, Oregon income tax withheld. This is going to be for my W-2 and 1099, and my tax withheld for the state was $1,849.21. So already I know that I'm going to owe in the state of Oregon. I'm going to owe taxes in this situation here. All right. So let's go through, and I haven't made any payments. I don't have an earned income credit. So, and then I don't have a kids credit. If you do, you're going to want to go through those instructions and reduce the amount of tax that you will owe the state of Oregon. Definitely take advantage of all of the credits that the state of Oregon offers because it's going to be beneficial to you. All right, so I'm going to leave those blank. Total refundable credits doesn't apply to me. Add lines 32 through 39. Mine is going to be the same situation. $1,849 is the Oregon tax withheld. I don't have any credits. And then we've got overpayment of tax or net tax. So I know that I am going to owe taxes just by looking at the figures, but let's go through line 41. If line 31 is less than line 40, you overpaid. So let's look. If line 31 is less than line 40, I've overpaid. And then I would put that amount here. But that's not me. I don't have an overpayment in the state of Oregon. I did in California, but not in Oregon. If line 31 is more than line 40, you have to pay tax. So that would be me in this situation. So let me get my calculator here. And I'm going 3,037 minus 1,849, which is 1,188. All right, so let's put that here. 1,188. And then penalty and interest for filing late doesn't apply to me. Interest on underpayment of estimated tax include form OR 10. So that might apply to me because I haven't paid the correct amount. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that section blank, and then I'm going to set up a payment plan with the state of Oregon to pay those back. And I think it's the same where the federal IRS, they allow 72 months, and I think Oregon does too. All right, and then I'm going to put my last name, social security number. They want me to calculate the total interest and penalty, net tax, including penalty and interest. So I'd have to put the total amount here. That's the amount I would owe. Excuse me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my net tax that I owe $1,188. And that's $1,188, and then I'm going to follow up and set up a payment plan. This would be in the case if you have a refund from the state of Oregon and you want some of that applied to your 2025 estimated taxes, and you can indicate that here. It does say to a later year of filing after 1/15/2026. I don't know what that means. I'm not going to look it up because it doesn't apply to me. If I want to make any donations, I don't because I own taxes now. I don't have any money left. A $3 political party contribution, no. And then if it was you or a spouse, any savings plans that I had, any deposits I can put here. Definitely take advantage if you have that. I don't. This would be your net refund. If you have a refund, I don't. And then you put in your checking, routing, and account number for a direct deposit. And if you have a refund, definitely put that there. All right, and then this is it. My signature goes right here on the last page, today's date. And then if someone else prepared these taxes, this tax form for me, I'd put their information here so they can be contacted in case there's an issue. But that's not for me, so I'm just going to leave that information blank. And last page, it looks like if you're doing an amended taxes, an amendment to your taxes, you'd want to complete this, but that's not me either. So So I'm done with the Oregon OR40 taxes. The main takeaway here for me, at least, was that a lot higher income taxes owed in the state of Oregon than in California, is in my situation, at least. So that's a big gap, I think. But that's it. And then you would want to look for the mailing address for the Oregon Tax Authority, and that should be in your instruction manual here. It should be at the top. If not, just Google it and find it, and it should come up pretty quickly. Or you can give them a phone call and ask them what it is. All right, that's it. Hopefully this was pretty thorough and you don't have any questions or confusion. If you do, again, you can always comment on this video if you watch it. If not, reach out to a tax accountant to help you with that. Thanks.